When I watched The Last Wish, I felt something, well, it's something I wasn't expecting from a DreamWorks sequel. This was not average. This was not safe. See, animation has these unspoken rules. Sure, The Last Wish looked at every single one of those rules and torched them. There is a scene where the main character has a clinical panic attack. Heart rate spiking, vision tunneling, hyperventilation. Look, it's certainly a choice in a PG-rated family film. There's an antagonist who can't be defeated because he's death itself. It's a cat movie. A cat movie. And he is facing death. Not a metaphor, not a villain with death powers, but the actual concept made flesh. The film ends not with the hero getting what he wants, but learning to appreciate what he has. How did a talking cat movie pull this off? I watched it again to understand. And the first thing that struck me was the opening, and the impossible challenge the creators faced. Before they animated anything, the creators faced a problem that would have killed most projects. Their audience didn't care. Shrek came out in 2001, the first Puss in Boots dropped in 2011 to middling reception and was promptly forgotten. Now it's 2022, over a decade later, and you're asking people to invest in a character they've moved on from. This creates the screenwriter's nightmare. You need to reintroduce the character, establish his world, set the tone, create emotional stakes, all without tedious exposition. Most animated sequels would play it safe. Familiar comedy, low stakes. Ooh, look at the colorful adventure and the merchandise-ready side characters. But something had changed in the animation landscape. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had shattered the industry in 2018, proving that audiences were starving for visual innovation. That film opened the door for stylized, non-photorealistic animation to be taken seriously as blockbuster art. It gave studios permission to take risks. The Last Wish became DreamWorks' response, their coming out party for a new visual language. It went the opposite direction of safe sequels. It built the entire story around a talking cat confronting his mortality. It's basically an existential crisis wrapped in a fairy tale. The screenwriters made a crucial structural choice: build everything around the hero overcoming his central weakness. And Puss's weakness isn't physical. He's fearless because he's never had to take mortality seriously. He lives on ego, chases legend status, treats life like a performance for an invisible audience. He values applause over connection, and treats his own demise like a punchline. And here's where fairy tale logic becomes the structural spine of the entire film. Cats have 9 lives. This isn't cute world building, it's the foundation. The creators ask a genuinely philosophical question. What happens when you remove mortality from someone's life perspective? What does functional immortality do to meaning itself? The answer is Puss at the start of the film. Someone completely disconnected from the stakes of existence. He's wasted 8 lives on stupid, avoidable ends. Why? Because individual lives don't matter when you have spares. It's a study in what abundance does to value. And the answer? It destroys it. Completely. So how does the film show us this disconnection? It does what every great story does. It opens with the hero telling us exactly who they think they are. Last Wish opens with Puss singing a song about himself named Fearless Hero, where he explicitly declares he will never die. Every hero believes something false about themselves. Screenwriters call it the lie. Puss's lie? He will never die. And he sings it to a cheering crowd, making us complicit in his delusion. We're enjoying the spectacle, the fireworks, the acrobatics, the confidence. Camera angles look up at Puss from low positions, physically elevating him above the mortals he's protecting. The celebration is bathed in warm golds and oranges, the colors of ego and legend. The transition from pop star to action hero happens the moment the governor crashes the fiesta. Puss doesn't just defend himself, he treats the ensuing arrest attempt as an encore. But the real shift occurs when the noise of the celebration rouses a colossal mountain giant, a weird elemental stone creature with an insatiable appetite. Now, pay attention to the animation. Puss doesn't fight efficiently, he fights stylishly. He's signing autographs mid-battle. He's striking poses for the crowd while dodging massive attacks. The film uses stepped animation here, dropping Puss's frame rate to create a choppy comic book quality while the camera stays fluid. Most of the film runs smooth, but during action sequences, the animators shift to 2s or 4s depending on what the moment needs. This is DreamWorks' answer to the visual revolution. Spider-Verse started. The environments are textured like brushstrokes. The animation is communicating something crucial. He's detached from the real world, disconnected from consequence. The varied frame rates make him look heroic, but also slightly unreal, slightly wrong. Then comes the perfect structural beat. Puss defeats the giant by dramatically launching himself into a bell. Very heroic, very legendary. Except that bell then falls and crushes him. His showboating directly causes his demise. The character trait triggers the catalyst. The plot emerges organically from who he is. That is screenwriting efficiency at its finest. And this is where most animated films would hit the reset button. But The Last Wish makes death stick. The film instantly shifts from epic scale to intimate, mundane reality. The doctor informs Puss he's died 8 times and is down to his last life. We get a montage of the previous incidents. Every single one stupid. On the surface, it's comedy. Slapstick humor keeping the tone light. But structurally, this sequence quantifies the cost of carelessness. When the doctor delivers the diagnosis that this is his last life, Puss's entire worldview collapses. For the first time in his existence, the end is permanent. He declares that legends laugh in the face of danger. This is the last moment of the old Puss, the last gasp of the delusion. The brilliance of this opening act is that it builds the legend to its absolute peak solely to dismantle it in the very next scene. Now here's where the film makes its most radical choice. To embody Puss's fear, they create something that cannot be defeated, cannot be escaped. Every great antagonist should embody the opposite of what the protagonist represents. If your hero's defining trait is fearlessness, your antagonist should be fear itself. The Last Wish takes this literally. The wolf isn't a metaphor, he's the inevitable end, personified. The bar scene is where this film violently shifts genre into the realm of psychological thriller. This sequence is widely celebrated as the moment the film transcends its sequel status to become something genuinely terrifying. Before the wolf is seen, he's heard. That whistle, a haunting, descending melody, cuts through the ambient noise. The sound mix drops out all background chatter and isolates that whistle. This auditory isolation forces you directly into Puss's subjective experience. You're trapped in his perspective. When we finally see him properly, he's massive, creating a silhouette that dwarfs Puss completely. The blocking here is crucial. He hunches over the bar, his hooded form creating a visual weight that makes Puss look like pre. He reveals the wanted poster and taps specifically on the word dead. The camera zooms in. It's a non-verbal declaration that bypasses all of Puss's witty banter. Words mean nothing here. Remember that choppy storybook movement Puss used against the giant? It's gone. The wolf moves on ones, completely fluid. Sometimes he moves in ways that ignore normal physics, creating an uncanny valley effect. The animation is telling you this force doesn't follow the same rules as mortals. By making his movement visceral and smooth and wrong, the film communicates this isn't a normal antagonist. This is something that operates outside the laws of the universe. The color palette shifts violently. Those warm golds drain away like blood from a wound. Red invades the frame, reserved exclusively for this threat. The wolf's eyes glow red. Every time we see red for the rest of the film, we're trained to feel immediate danger. Every slash of those sickles makes your pulse spike. You're not watching Puss panic, you're panicking with him. For the first time in the franchise's history, Puss is genuinely outmatched. Then the wolf's sickle grazes Puss's forehead. A single drop of blood forms. The camera lingers on it. In a universe where characters survive being crushed by bells and blown up by cannons, this realistic injury signals a fundamental shift in the rules of reality. The stylized blood bridges fantasy and reality perfectly. The camera zooms into Puss's pupil, and for a split second, the film's reality shatters. We don't just see fear, we see the weight of every life he's wasted crashing down on him at once. The editing becomes frantic, mimicking the onset of panic. The sound design introduces a high-pitched ringing tone, simulating shock and terror. You are experiencing what Puss is experiencing. The legendary hero abandons his sword and flees in blind terror. The sword, the physical symbol of his heroism, lies abandoned on the floor. This completes the destruction of the protagonist's ego. Analyzing the why behind the how is what we do here at Scene Shift. If that's your kind of thing, hit subscribe and join the community. What makes the wolf work as an antagonist is his honesty. He doesn't hide behind mystery or theatrics. He's blunt about his nature. He explains he normally waits for the end, but Puss's frivolous waste of 8 lives offended him personally. This gives him the moral high ground. He's death personified. So Puss does what any rational person would do. He buries himself alive. After the bar scene, Puss retreats to Mama Luna's cat rescue. He literally buries his identity, his boots, his cape, his costume, and attempts to live as a normal cat. He sings that same song again, the one about being fearless, but now he's crying. He knows the words are lies. The legend dies. And Puss doesn't know who's left underneath. The wishing star becomes his lifeline. Get his 9 lives back, avoid the wolf, reset the game, return to the comfortable Del Luz. He's trying to undo the lesson rather than learn from it. And that's when a dog in a sock shows up to ruin. Perrito enters the story disguised as a cat, wearing a dirty sock as a sweater. He's pathetic, naive, relentlessly optimistic. Perrito is basically Mr. Rogers in a sock. But calling him comic relief misses what he actually does. He's the thematic answer, presented before anyone realizes there's a question. The map to the wishing star changes based on who holds it, creating a path that reflects the holder's inner state. When Puss holds it, the path becomes Valley of Incineration and Mountains of Misery, literal manifestations of trauma. When Kitty holds it, similar hostile terrain appears, cliffs of anxiety, rivers of distrust. When Perrito holds it, the path becomes River of Relaxation and Pocket Full of Posies. Same destination, completely different journey. This proves the world isn't objectively hostile. Reality is shaped by perception. Perrito experienced trauma and actively chose happiness anyway. The thesis statement of the entire film comes from Perrito. He's only ever had 1 life. Puss had 9 and wasted them because abundance removed value. Perrito cherishes his 1 life because scarcity creates meaning. Which makes what happens next even more devastating. Puss spots the wolf watching from the trees. He's just standing there, watching. And that's somehow infinitely worse. The threat is purely psychological, and your body responds with clinical accuracy. The sound design introduces a thumping heartbeat that gradually drowns out all other audio. The cinematography uses a vignette effect, darkening the edges of the frame. The camera shifts from smooth movement to shaky, handheld chaos. The tinnitus returns, that high-pitched ringing linking this moment back to the trauma of the bar fight. This is PTSD, being triggered in real time. Perrito doesn't give a speech or offer empty platitudes. He simply lays his head on Puss's lap. Warmth. Weight. This is grounding, an actual therapeutic technique. By showing this without explaining it, the film does something genuinely valuable. The resolution is gradual and realistic. Puss's breathing slowly returns to normal. The heartbeat fades. The vignette lifts. The camera stabilizes. And Perrito is still there, patient and present. Yeah, DreamWorks really said, let's give the kids PTSD today. But understanding the truth and living it are 2 different things. The Cave of Lost Souls is where Puss encounters his 8 previous lives, frozen as manifestations of ego and arrested development. The cave scene is basically Puss's therapy session with 8 versions of his worst self. Each previous life looks identical to the opening scene. The costume, the swagger, the confidence, they're frozen in the legend, incapable of growth. They mock him for caring about friends. They tell him legends don't need anybody. Vulnerability is weakness. Connection is liability. They repeated the same pattern 8 times. Be arrogant, make reckless choices, meet a stupid end, restart with no consequences. Puss looks at them and realizes the 9 lives weren't a gift. They were a trap. But here is the brilliant structural twist. Knowing the truth isn't the same as living it. Even after this realization, when the wolf shatters the crystals, Puss panics. He runs away again, abandoning his friends one last time. He rushes to the star not as a hero, but as an addict looking for one last fix, which makes what happens at the star infinitely heavier. He stands there with the map. He could grab it, wish for his 9 lives back, reset everything, return to comfortable ignorance. But he hears Perrito's voice echoing in his mind. He drops the map. Then the wolf arrives, patient as ever. The wolf tosses him the sword. This is the ultimatum. The map, safety, or the sword, mortality. Puss chooses the sword. Look at the animation during this final fight. No more stepped animation, no more choppy, posed movements. Every motion is fluid and purposeful, animated on ones like the wolf. For the first time in the entire film, Puss is finally in the moment. He's fully present in reality, fighting for the people standing behind him. The choreography is completely different from the bar fight. Your heart is pounding in your chest because his is. Every parry feels desperate, every dodge feels earned. He glances back at Kitty and Perrito. He has people now. The fight isn't about him anymore. It's about protecting what matters. The wolf studies him, then stops, sheathes his weapons. He acknowledges he came here for an arrogant little legend who thought he was immortal, but he doesn't see that cat anymore. The wolf doesn't lose because he cannot lose, but he's satisfied because the lesson has been learned. He tells Puss to live his life well, and the whistle fades into silence. The ending breaks every rule. The hero doesn't win through strength or smarts. Instead, something philosophically sophisticated happens. The hero wins by accepting that victory is impossible. Puss faces the wolf directly and acknowledges he can never defeat him, but he declares he will never stop fighting for this life. He doesn't need magic to fix his life, because his life isn't broken. One life, lived fully, with people who matter. Kitty got her wish, someone she can trust. Perrito got his, spending time with friends. Puss got his too, not the one he thought he wanted, the ability to appreciate what he has. The last wish breaks every rule animation follows by committing fully to its themes and trusting its audience to meet it there. DreamWorks looked at the visual revolution Spider-Verse started and responded with something more radical, a family film that teaches kids their mortality has meaning. Think about that. In a culture obsessed with infinite growth, legacy building, and digital immortality through social media, a talking cat movie told an entire generation that having less time makes you appreciate life more. That scarcity creates value. That one life, fully lived, beats 9 lives spent chasing applause. That's not just good storytelling, that's subversive. And that's why this DreamWorks sequel nobody asked for became a masterpiece. A movie that looks kids in the eye and says, your time matters, because it's limited. That's a lesson worth learning, no matter how old you are. So what do you think? What other animated films took risks that paid off? Let us know in the comments below. Puss in Boots proves that big risks can pay off. To see a breakdown of the ambitious swings the Fantastic Four movie took, check out my analysis right here. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe for more videos just like this.